Those who know, know, but those who don't know, and it's about time that they knew. This is one of the greatest high-grade kits around. It just came out very recently, and this is the RGM-79 GIM Shoulder Cannon / Missile Pod from Mobile Suit Gundam Mobile Suit Discovery. This is such an amazing kit. First off, I will mention that this is heavily based on the absolutely fantastic high-grade RX-78-2 Gundam, the Origin. Still to me the best high-grade Gundam that's out there, and this is pretty much the GIM variant. With this kit you can build 3 different types of GIM. They're all pretty much the same, but the loadout is different. That's standard GIM, shoulder cannon GIM, or the pretty cool missile pod GIM. This right here is the Army Builder Kit for the Fedi fan. Now I did try to build this as quick as I possibly could, so I do not have any footage of the build this time round. This took me 1 hour and 13 minutes to build. That's not too bad, so if you did want to build 10 of these, if you had one hell of a crazy day, you could do it. But yeah, if you do want 1 or 50 of these absolute bad boys, then I will throw a link down there in the description. I got mine through Hobby Link Japan, you can too. But anyway, let's get right into the gorgeous aesthetics of the RGM-79 GIM. So jumping on into the aesthetics, and this thing is absolutely gorgeous, completely gorgeous, and I wanted to know what the hell is MSD. I know what MSV is, but Mobile Suit Discovery, and it says on the side of the box, this is what it says. It says a mechanical documentation that unfolds within the world of Mobile Suit Gundam The Origin, Mobile Suit Gundam Kukuru's Dawn's Island, and sheds light mainly on mobile suits, which have never before been revealed. So yeah, just like MSV, that means these are pretty much designs that were never really in anything. So these aren't in Gundam The Origin, these are just more of a design of what a GIM would look like if it was fully developed in Mobile Suit The Origin. And these look so good. This is absolutely beautiful. Let's get in a little bit closer and check it out. So there is one fairly critical step with these particular kits, and you could argue that it's a critical step for pretty much every Gundam kit that is out there, but I'd argue it's even more important for these, and that is panel lining. So just lit dead on like this, you can see that most of the detail on this is absolutely lost. But this is a kit that has ridiculous amounts. If you give it a little bit of harsh light from the side there, you'll start to see there is a lot of detail up in the shoulders, panel lined into the arms, and absolutely ridiculous amounts of it in the legs. Now, the Origin kits always have this sort of detail, mainly because in the actual anime, they were all CG mecha with tons and tons of detail, which of course was part of the Origin's appeal. The hyper detail all over the mobile suits, which does make its way to the kits. So even though these kits are hyper detailed out of box, a lot of it is lost without a little bit more. Even inside the head there, a bit of lining, or even better, chroming the white in behind would really give this a whole absolutely leveled up appearance. But once again, this is what it looks like out of box. But even as a fresh out-of-box build, like what you're seeing right here, this still looks phenomenal, to the point where Bandai has actually color separated out the V in the crotch. I don't even think the actual Gundam The Origin got that level of detail. We do have some really nice aspects, especially some parts coming through, like on the knees right here. We've got some grey of the inner segments coming through. However, the grey on the sides of the legs here, down on the ankles, and on the elbows are stickers just like we would have seen on the Gundam version. So yeah, when it does come to the aesthetics, the stickers in here are definitely, well, the biggest letdown. For the most part, they're just a whole bunch of circles, which is hilarious. These parts here, you could get away with not using the ones that were on the elbows, ankles, and the knees. You could just panel line in there and it will look perfect. However, these 1 million red little dudes, we'll talk about those later. On top of that, then, we do get a big old sheet of decals. These are sticker style decals, but there is a whole lot. This is definitely a kit that is designed to kind of do a whole bunch of them to have yourself a squad, which is something I always do love, and this gives you a chance to give them all their own bit of unique flavor, while at the same time keeping them looking exactly the same. So as for the marking decals, I decided to put a couple on for the review for the sake of seeing them. Now, there is some on here that aren't really shown what to do with in the instructions. I guess these are something you can do what you want with. Well, that's exactly what it says. It says, use the extra marking stickers freely. So instead of doing exactly what's in the instructions, which is there to see already, which is this right here, I went for some of the ones that aren't actually shown in here. I gave it a 23 up on this shoulder, which I have no idea what that is. If I'm missing a reference here, please let me know. And over here there was a star, So I used that instead, the Federation symbol, and then I just used the standard ones on the chest, which is the RGM 79, and a couple of the other ones so you can get an idea of what these are like. So you can use them on your kits, give them a little bit of individuality, but I will mention these are the sticker style ones, so you can see the rim on them, or should I say the edge of the actual sticker. However, not too bad from a distance. So jumping into that full 360 spin so you can see all of the origin glory that is all over this particular kit. This is an absolutely gorgeous gem, without a doubt. Bandai put so much work back into the high-grade RX-78-2 Gundam, the Origin, that it's great that they're actually using it for other suits that are almost identical to it. Once again, just like we would have seen with the last review, being the Shin Burning Gundam, it is nice to see something that breaks the mold a little bit from the standard Gundam coloring. This is in red on a bluish white, a bluish greenish white, which is usual color for a gym. Maybe a little bit hard to see in the actual video, but this is not a standard white, but we'll see when we plop it down beside a normal white Gundam. Overall though, looking great, nice clear parts, and exceptionally beautiful molded detail. Onto the size comparison now, and there it is side by side with the last Gundam that we took a look at, which is the high-grade Shin Burning Gundam. Now this one is in pure white, so it can kind of show you the difference between the two kind of shades. This is definitely in a little bit of a green white. There's the high-grade Gundam Mecha, entry-grade La Gundam, high-grade Gundam Barbatos, and the high-grade Gundam Ariel. Although the gym itself is absolutely impressive, it's the literal arsenal that comes inside of the box that really makes this ridiculous. Just look at that spread. In here we've got the bazooka, a shield, a beam rifle, cooler looking beam spray gun, the weapons that put the label on the box being the shoulder cannon as well as the missile pods. We also have a pair of smaller missile pods for on the hips, 2 beam sabers, a grand total of 6 hands, and 2 ass adapters. This is ridiculous, look at that. And if you bought 3 of these to build the 3 different variants, that is enough to equip an entire high-grade army. So when it comes to the hands that we've gotten here, first up are these right here. These are your standard pair of high-grade fists. So they do what? Well, high-grade fists do. These are the type of fist with the hole in the top, so these are for holding onto beam sabers and miscellaneous non-trigger weaponry. The second pair of hands that we have in here are these. So these are a pair of widespread open hands with more of a kind of relaxed feel. They're not overly dynamic. They're more for really kind of lining up and holding the underside of weapons just like so. I like to call these the Origin ass scratching hands because that's kind of the vibe they have. And the last pair of hands we have in here are these ones. So these are some trigger finger holding hands, and we have a pair of all of these. So that means this is a kit that can dual wield its weapons. So before we go on to what makes this kit, I'm going to be taking a look at the fairly bog standard weapons that are in here. So first up, we've got a pair of beam sabers. They attach it in the usual kind of way and do the usual kind of thing. They just hold in the hands just like so. So we do have 2 of these, so we can dual wield, and depending on the particular gym loadout, it will have 1 or 2. So I've set up the backpack in the usual kind of way, which is just the one little storage point up here, but there is a second one if you want to pop it on there. I'm just kind of keeping it pretty traditional. So anyway, this just pops on up here just like so for storing the beam saber when it's not in use. But we do have something else a little later on. We have a bit of an ass rack, but I'll talk about that when we're talking about that. Now, one thing you can say about Gundam the Origin is that the weapons are so nicely designed. This is the beam rifle early type, so the RX-78-2's beam rifle before it was made into that really iconic one. This one looks so cool. We've got a moving side up back, fully color accurate. We've got a flip out peg for storage. Around this side then we do have a fold out extra handle so it can be held with both hands. Beam, beam, beam. So getting this attached is the usual way of doing it. We've got the hands in here for holding onto it. You just pop them open sandwich style. Both sides of the hand are the bread. This right here is the ham. Slap them together and you got yourself a hand sandwich. Attachment of the hands is the usual ball joint attachment, and this is so much fun to pose and such a beautiful beam rifle. This is definitely up there as one of my all-time favorite beam rifles. I will mention I did forget to put the sticker on the lens, but that is included in here, a green one. And no matter what pose you pop this in, it looks great, and it's super fluid and easy to pose. Looking great in every position. One hell of a kit. Alright, so getting that out, I will mention this can be stored by flipping out this little peg right here, and then you can attach it onto the various different attachment points. You can pop it up here, you can pop it down here, wherever you want. On here? Nope, that's a different shape. Next up in here, we've got the standard beam spray gun. This is one we've seen for so long, all the way back to, well, to 1979. This is very standard. It attaches in the normal kind of way. It's really nice to get this kit into a pose because it is super nice to pose, and that right there is what we get in the end. It's just a standard beam spray gun and does what it needs to. Now moving on real quick to the other one. So moving on to the next weapon, and that is the beam spray gun early type. And I've started to realize that early type doesn't actually mean early type, it means badass type, because every time one of these has that in a pair of parentheses or brackets, it means they look ridiculously cool. Attaching this on is the exact same way as always, but I did attach it into the other hand so we can have some spray guns akimbo like this right here, like it's going to be taking down tons of Zaku's like some kind of badass ace pilot. You can pose these around so nice. I will mention the ball joints in the hands can fall off every now and then, but it's nothing too critical. They are good and strong, it's just they are easy to knock off. That anyway is what it looks like with two beam spray guns attached. The sensor being on the underside of the spray gun is very cool. It is blocked, so it doesn't really make too much sense really, because there's the sensor and there's this kind of little bit that's in the way of it, so strange design there, but this is cool. The little magazine underneath as well. Overall, wow, this is a kick-ass spray gun, without a doubt. I'm guessing these weapons right here are use and throw because we don't actually have any attachment points for attaching them on to the unit itself, but man do they look cool. So next up in here we've got the Hyper Bazooka. It's fairly generic for the most part. This handle up front can tilt for ease of posing. This side here can move side to side, but sadly it is a sticker that is inside of that, and that is pretty much all it does. Color separation besides that one little side bit is pretty nice. I do recommend taking the hand off while attaching this on because a Hyper Bazooka is always quite difficult to attach on due to the fact that the arm needs to be a little bit bent for it to actually get up onto the shoulder correctly. This is what it looks like attached, and like I mentioned, this is a fluid, easy kit to pose, so it always looks great no matter what weapons you have with it. But I did somehow manage to knock off the beam saber from the shoulder while lifting the weapon onto the shoulder. When this is not in use, you can attach it onto the butt flap with a bit of an ass adapter. So all you do is clip that onto the Hyper Bazooka and then attach it onto the butt flap, just like so. Nice and secure. I will also mention we do have Gatlings in the forearm, which is one of the origin designs that I absolutely love. The instruction says just to build it on the left arm there, so there's none on the right arm, but there are parts included if you do want to put it on both arms and make your units a little bit different from each other. So now it's about time to actually make this into, well, the versions of the gym that it mentions on the box, which is the shoulder cannon and the missile pod versions. We're going to start with the shoulder cannon, and I have to say the shoulder cannon may just be one of my all-time favorite additions from Origin to the Gundam universes. For this particular loadout, we use the early type spray gun as well as one beam saber up on the shoulder, and then you just attach on the shoulder cannon, as simple as just popping it on like so. The shoulder cannon is an absolutely awesome weapon. It just kind of hangs out back here. You can drop it down out of the way very nicely. It's simple, but so incredibly designed, and then it can just swing up over the shoulder just like that right there. This is such an absolutely awesome weapon. So now jumping into the second variant of what you can build inside this box. Well, I suppose it's the third variant after the standard gym. So basically that is the missile pod mode. So we strip off everything we had attached onto it, pop the missile pods up onto the shoulders just like so. We do have a little bit of an ass rack right here for both of the beam sabers, so you can store them down here. So this is two instead the one we saw last time. We've got some side skirting missile pods to add on to, and finally the beam spray gun, the standard version. Now this brings me right to something I'd totally forgotten to mention, and that is the shield. A nice shield, and I almost forgot about it. So this right here is the shield, and it's very similar to the standard Gundam shield, except you don't have the Federation logo. There's this nice double cross kind of silhouette kind of thing here that you'll see a lot better if you do actually pan line it a bit. We've got the windows, some white parts coming through from underneath. Around the other side we do have white as well as some grey. Full rotating and hinged attachment point. A little bit of a hinged handle, and this can slide up and down to change the position of the shield. Now, I noticed that they're not being held like this standard Origin Gundam way, so it can pull the visor up to its face while using it. It's actually used in the weird old way where the visor's up here, I guess to be pulled across over the body, almost like a body shield, kinda like a riot shield. There are decals included in here for using with the shield. It doesn't say anything about them inside the manual, but I'm just going to throw on the 23 just to keep up the theming that's happening right here. Also, if you do find these difficult to attach, they can be at times because they're a stick and done, then you're actually able to get a little solution of detergent in warm water sprayed on, and then you can move the actual decal around and then rub away the excess moisture, and it will stick perfectly. So if you want to move it around, get it right, you can do it that way. So as for attaching the shield, you can use the holding hand if you want, but I don't wanna. I just usually just slot it round into the hand like so. Bring that little bit of a connection part on and connect it on like that. There's the shield, and I do like the fact that it has a little bit of a cutout at the top here. Not necessarily sure as to why, but that is what the shield looks like attached. I will mention you can't actually, well, while held in the hand, bring this really up in front of the face to use the slot, so it does make more sense to have the other way around and bring it up like that. Strange that Bandai decided to do it this way this time around, but that's up to yourself. But now we get into the critical flaw of this kit. Look at all those missiles up there. Every single one of them is meant to be red. They are not red. And what we have instead is included stickers. Now, I think this would be an absolute pain in the ass to do. I think actually just doing the top of each of them with a red Gundam marker would probably be easier, or even better, a paint better than the red Gundam marker, because every time I use it, it's a little bit translucent and kind of shiny. So it might be best to just paint each of those in a kind of white, and then a nice red over it. I think I'd probably do that instead of using the stickers. Again, that is the biggest letdown inside of this box, but considering all you get in here, it's not too big of a deal. He disagrees. Also, while it's lying on the front, I just realized there is nice little parts in the back there, obviously where the, I don't know what you'd call it, the exhaust or the explosion of the missiles would come out. So that is pretty cool. Nicely designed, besides the color. So finally now moving on to the articulation now. On this one I'm not going to go through absolutely everything because it's the same as the Oryx 78 the Origin Granddaddy kit. So all the joints are pretty much the same. But this is definitely a great posing experience. Now let's throw it into the usual pose. So getting it into the usual pose, and this thing can definitely bust a move. I love posing the Origin Granddaddy, and this is exactly the same. Now you might think to yourself, well, a gym can't bust moves like that. It's a real robot that kind of just walks around real slow and can't really do a whole lot. Well, the way I look at it, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it when it comes to the overall articulation. You can get all the constipated gym poses you want where it doesn't really do all that much, but some people like me, when they have, you know, kits, they like to do a little thing, what's it called again? Have fun. So that's why it's nice to have that extra little bit of articulation to pull off some epic, over-the-top gym ace poses. So anyway, that right there is it for the review, and what can I say, this is an outstanding kit, definitely. The one down point, of course, is the fact that the missiles in the missile pods are not color accurate. That is so easy, just get a marker or some paint and hit each one of those with red, and you'll be done in seconds. It's definitely a lot easier than Bandai having to actually try and make each and every one of them a tiny little red part, but besides that, this gets perfect scores right across the board, so this is a platinum tier kit without a doubt. When it comes to the aesthetics, it's absolutely gorgeous. The only thing I'd say is throw a little bit of chrome in behind that clear part in the head and it will look phenomenal. Has a couple of stickers, but I feel these aren't required. You can actually do without them and it will still look awesome. When it comes to the accessories in here, what can I say? This has a loadout, fitting, and army. There's so many options. If you love options, this has them all. You can buy tons of this kit and outfit them all completely differently. It's insane. Finally then, when it does come to the articulation, this thing can bust a move like nobody's business and looks great in every pose. This is a fantastic kit. If you've never built a gym, never cared about a gym, get this in your hands and it will change your mind. If you love gyms, get in your hands anyway, because you will love it. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more Gunpla reviews. I got mine from Hobby link in the description, and I will see you next time. So this video right here would not have been possible without each and every single one of you guys who watches my videos, and all of these awesome people right here who help out on the channel memberships and over on Patreon, including 10 Soldier YT, Abraxas, Caleb Engelhart, Dashel Marmion, Go Little Rockstar, Joe, Lauren Sehak, or G95061, 10 Soldier YT again, and Van Fawn.